7 minutes past 8 o'clock. Niko naye Sitimuga in studio, but also I am joined by two very interesting, I like calling them interesting because they are very interesting individuals. We're talking about Fanya Mambo Kinuthia. He is a lawyer and political analyst, and also tuko naye mheshimiwa kutoka Kileleshwa ward, that is Robert Alai. And today we just want to focus on the constitution, the opposition, and of course the state of the nation. President did declare today to be Katiba Day. I don't know what you make of it, Fanya Mambo. Acha nianze na wewe. Good morning and welcome to the Radio Generation.
A very good morning. I think it's a very interesting place to start from. When the president who first opposed this constitution, remember
Yes.
there was a referendum, the president who vehemently opposed this constitution gives us a day to celebrate, commemorate, and look at our gains with regards to this constitution. So that for me is a serious oxymoron. But secondly, it's supposed to be Katiba Day if we have regard and respect for that constitution. From a state that has conducted the most heinous crimes of abduction of young people, killed Gen Zs and done all sorts of things, for them to come and give us a day to celebrate Katiba, I think for us is a serious joke.
Yeah.
Because what we needed to do is, we
Serious
don't need a day, we don't need a day to celebrate Katiba. Honestly speaking, what we need is to feel the Katiba in action every day of our lives. We need to walk without thinking that there will be a black Subaru or a grey Subaru coming for you. We need to walk without thinking of risasi ya mguu. We need to walk without thinking of a member of parliament who says that washutiwe wauliwe. We need to walk with respect for this constitution. And from where I sit, setting a day is not what matters. Every day for Kenyans is Katiba Day. We want to celebrate the gains of the 2010 constitution on a daily basis, not on a specific day when it was promulgated.
Mheshimiwa Alai, first of all, karibu tena sana.
Asante sana. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. What are your thoughts on Katiba Day?
No, I think it's a very great thought, because I think that, especially for me working in the counties, the devolved structures of the government, that we have to celebrate some of the gains we have made as a country, especially on the Bill of Rights and the devolution, because devolution is a big thing. For the first time in many years, now you have people getting into the middle class, and they're getting into the middle class because at least you can now have some place in your county, 47 counties, where you can work and celebrate. And you can see some of the counties which have gotten the gist of devolution, making an impact. You have new health centers built, you have new schools built, you have new ECD centers, you have new trading centers, though I still have a problem with Kenyans addicted to trading along the roadside, because they believe that, the minimum walking distance to the market. But I think that the constitution is always very interesting, because we are able to hold the leaders to account. It is the first time that Kenyans are very vibrantly holding. You remember when we have the last constitution and the president had the say. Now people are even threatening the president, which was never imagined during Moi and the first time of the old time of Kibaki's time. That somebody can go and threaten the president and utafanya hii, nitakufanyia hivi, nini, you go wherever he sits. It's very interesting, and I think that we also have to celebrate the person in power, because I think that we have to celebrate it, because this is going to be one of the most impactful presidents, and positively impactful. I know that Fanya Mambo might disagree, but deep in his heart, because I know this is my brother, he's in the wrong camp, and deep in his heart, he knows that President Ruto does not mean bad for this country. To have a president who can go even in social media to interact with young people, they call him, they insult him like 2 hours. He just sits there and listens to him. I wish that people would go and compare President Ruto to President Kibaki and President Uhuru, because we saw a lot of killings. We saw even a civil war during Kibaki's time. We saw even people abducted and killed. There's a friend of mine who was abducted up a Miale restaurant. He was killed, his body found in a river in Kirinyaga, and his Range Rover burnt here in Ngong. These are very wealthy businessmen. He's a Somali friend of mine. It's a personal friend. So when I see some of these things, people are blaming President Ruto for some of this. The president is an institution. The presidency. And when you see some of these things happening, it doesn't mean that Ruto as a person has ordered that so and so be kidnapped or killed. And I believe up to now, there's no single time Ruto has picked a call and said, endeni mchukue so and so. But I have a confession from even colleagues I serve now with the county assembly who said, we were given 3 million to go and kill you. And you're just smart for us. So some of these things we blame Ruto for. I don't know what you wish, because I know that if Rigiji was to take power today, the first big victim would be Fanya Mambo.
If Rigiji did what? Come again?
Took power today as the president of Kenya.
Yes.
Or as the deputy president, back as the deputy president, the first victim.
Yeah.
Because this person woke up in 2023, 3 a.m. every day, and say, tunataka kumaliza hii, mnafanya. Just for expressing our anger against what was happening. He woke up every day and said, tunataka kumaliza. When Baba woke up, stood up in a funeral in Nyandarua and told him, I know this president better than you. Atakuja kunitafuta. Nyinyi mtakuja. What did he do? He ranted, he chanted, hakuna mtu anakutafuta, hakuna wewe unaenda Bondo. You see, the things in this country can be resolved by understanding that his loss should not be my loss, should not be my gain. And my gain should not be his loss. We can live as brothers. In the same country called Kenya, he gets his fair share of the cake. Whatever he does, I support him. He supports me. Whatever he does, we can exist in different camps. But we should never wish that in a country we say that if it is not for my people, then your people should have nothing. You see, I think it's very unfortunate that some of the things which the Constitution allows, because I think that the Constitution is ahead of its time. Kenya is too not very well mature for the kind of Constitution we have. I don't think that the citizen is mature enough to understand the kind of Constitution we have. So what we have, we have a Constitution which is ahead of the people. I think the people need to understand.
There was a gentleman who was a politician in this country, the late Sharif Nasir, who echoed something similar, but his words, he said, there's too much freedom in Kenya. Is it possible to have too much freedom, really?
One of the most amazing things I'm experiencing this morning is to sit near Robert Alai and to hear him saying that President Ruto is a good president. Robert Alai, I think you are going to attract a lot of hatred towards yourself because of those statements. Sometimes it's good to mute the mic, unajifanya mic ilikuwa inaongea, so that you say those things so that they don't get to mwananchi. We have all experienced this administration. Robert Alai, let me tell you something. For the first time in the year 2023, 2024 to 2025, the total amount of cement that has been used in this country has reduced by 15 million bags.
According to who?
In spite
According
of,
to who?
my friend, I'll tell you, in spite of
Because
this
you have to know the source of
avoidable
data.
housing, in spite of this, no, it's not propaganda. It's not propaganda. I'll give it to you right now. In spite of this avoidable housing that you guys are building,
Why is it avoidable?
it's avoidable because nani ana kwao, and it's also avoidable because as we speak right now, I have always told that government
and
of
you
yours.
serve in an urban constituency.
Yes. And the answer is
Nani
very
anakwao?
simple.
Nani
Yes.
anakwao?
Robert Alai, let me tell you. And the answer is very simple. When you make the cost of building materials affordable, Kenyans will build houses for themselves. Zile nyumba zote ziko Kenya hatukujengewa na Ruto. Wakenya wamekuwa wakijijengea miaka yao yote. What I'm trying to tell you is,
Fanya Mambo, the government has also been involved in building houses from history.
they've been building
Most
houses,
of the
but they
good
were a
houses.
drop in the ocean. I mean, we can count the houses that were on Jogo Road. We can count Kenya Railway houses. The truth of the matter is
They were
this.
county houses.
Kenyans have
Local
built
government houses.
their own houses
They always
for a very long
have.
time.
They always have. They always have. I am merely making a simple point that the government involvement in the building of low-cost housing has always been there. That's why these estates exist.
My rural house was built by government.
You see,
Yes.
there's one thing we are not agreeing. There is a normal way in which normal governments build houses.
What is that?
And then there is an abnormal way in which Kenya Kwanza builds houses. First, where did you see in the history of the world, in any country where common sense and the constitution is followed, where people come and take public land, build
Don't
houses
they don't-
on
they didn't
public.
check.
No, they did, because they are selling. How do you sell houses that are built on public land using our money? Mtu akienda akicheza football vizuri anakuja anapewa nyumba. Even the powers to confer those houses have been given to somebody. I am not fighting Harambee Stars, but I'm saying, so what will stop him tomorrow from deciding Robert Alai has defended me so well on RG, let us give him a house as well? We have gotten to the place
What's
where
wrong
these
with
houses
that?
are
What's wrong with
property. Kwani ni zake? You can't allow the head of state to be the guy who wakes up this one morning
don't want me to
and
have a house.
decides who to give a house when and where and how. So that if you come and say 2 term, then you are given a house.
Not 2 term. You give a substantive reason why you're saying 2 term.
No, let's not. So you cannot do what you want to do in Kenya in 2025 and think it's going to be normal. Because what they technically have done is they are selling public land. And then now those people who are sweating, mwenye wanakatwa pesa kwa mshahara, si hao wanapata nyumba. A teacher who works so diligently anasikia nyumba ilipewa footballer. So what mollifies the footballer to get the house? Na huyu footballer by the hakuwa anakatwa hiyo pesa. Then the teacher mwenye amekuwa akikatwa hiyo pesa anaambiwa hawezi pata hiyo nyumba. Those houses are being given in such an opaque way. And that's why we are saying it has never happened. All the government houses that we know, hata zile ziko hapa Buruburu, I mean zile ziko hapa, I went to Aquinas High School. We used to see all those houses there. All those houses have not been sold yet. You think those governments were stupid, or they didn't know how to sell houses? They didn't know how to come up with Boma Yangu. The truth is they knew how to do those things, but they were wise. Yeah?
Do you admire the conditions of the houses?
Which conditions of which houses?
Those houses.
Why are they there?
The railways. No, but do you admire whatever state they are in?
Why are they in that state?
No, because
You work in the county.
Yes.
Those houses were the responsibility of the county.
No, it depends.
You people have failed, and then you're asking us whether we admire.
the affordable houses.
No. Sasa tunaongea hizi nyumba ziko hapa Shauri Moyo, ziko hapa DC.
There are
those
very many categories of houses. There are houses for corporations. There are houses for like railways. There are houses
the
for
few that are under
county.
the county. When was the last time you painted them? Before
No.
you ask us
You-
whether. When
But
was the last time
but
you guys
see,
sat?
The Wamunyoro, the person who went to the Bunge Juzi, and I stood there resisting alone. The person who resisted those things, ni your MCA.
Who?
You know your MCA.
My MCA.
Yes.
But the reason I resisted him is because I also didn't think he was a good leader.
Yeah, so you see, and he's now in Wamunyoro.
My MCA is not in Wamunyoro.
He's in Wamunyoro.
He's singing 2 term
No.
all over the place.
No. So anyway, so I say one of the reasons why it has failed is because of the kind of governments you have had in the counties. And some of these governments, the Nairobi governments, the people who are working in Nairobi, or the community of workers in Nairobi running the county, has not been brought about because of the professional recruitment. They've been brought about by the politicians of the day. And I wish that Fanya Mambo would understand that the people who are dominating some of these houses are supporters of Wamunyoro. In fact, they're singing 1 term in those houses.
Okay.
When Juzi, what we just said with a very good lady called Lydia, the chief officer, what Lydia did was say that these houses, 10,000 houses, 10,000 housing units in Nairobi, owned by the county, 80% nobody's paying rent. We said we cannot service these houses, these housing estates, if people are not paying rent. Why don't you even start paying rent? So what he did, because these people are very smart, whenever they see the county enforcement officers in uniform, everybody locks the gate, nini, kimbias, or go as high as gangs. So they deployed the plain clothes. This lady was censured. They brought, because it depends on the politician, the political muscle can rally up. This lady was censured and was almost impeached by the county assembly because of that move. But that threat alone made the county realize some 600 to 700 million, 600 something million shillings in just 1 month. This chief officer, Lydia Mathia, is now facing a situation where the majority and the minority side does not want to work with her because of what she was trying to correct in Woodley here. You cannot step into those houses and even collect rent. You will be beaten. You see? And these people depend on the political protections. Now, and that's why you see most of the time people in Nairobi vote for the opposition. Nairobi here, as long as you can stick with somebody opposing the government, then you know that you'll survive, an eviction or, enforcement and so on. So now what they're saying is that wanatolewa because hao ni watu wa Munyoro. Na wa Munyoro pia akisikia hivyo anasema kwamba people should not be removed. When Fanya Mambo was resisting, you know, and I went to, and I'm the only Azimio, remember MCA, who went to Deputy President's resident, and I was written a show cause letter. Because I said I want to engage with my government. When Rigiji called that meeting and he was the Deputy President, he was not calling me to his private house. So I said, I'll go and listen because my people are going to be affected by this. And it was about the Nairobi River regeneration, which the Deputy President was leading. You see? And I said, this is a very nice initiative. The military officers there showed me the video, the plan. They showed us all the, you know, and we asked questions. We have a very robust engagement. I told the Brigadier Muirashia, that's, you know, one of the people who are occupying the riparian land is your personal friend. Why don't you start with him? And that's why he never touched Kileleshwa. Because I told him, if you touch Kileleshwa, please start with your friend. Because your friend lives on the richer side of Kileleshwa. If you don't touch your friend who is building up to the middle of the river, he built a wall. And I told him, usipoanza na huyo usikuze maskini. Tuanze na Mdosi, because Mdosi at least has money to build, to go somewhere, to live. Why don't you know now? The person who are resisting removal from when you are in Kileleshwa, we have Kileleshwa Kubwa, we have Nairobi River. In Riverside, and in this next law, I talk. You cannot live next to those rivers because the rich people are draining all the sewer systems. They are sewer. They are not connected to the sewer. Kila mtu anajaza kwa the Nairobi River. And it's very unfortunate. I say that you are doing a very nice thing. But I was surprised that the person I went to support and I was being written a Shoko's letter is now opposing the Nairobi River regeneration program. He's saying that wanatoa watu wao. I say that when you're a leader, I want to engage constructively. Can you tell me what you want to do? How you want to do it? Then I say, I agree. But let's do it in a very structured manner and without affecting the most vulnerable.
No. Allow me to mention something about that. I come from Dagoretti South. Right from the top huko. Now where Kavode is and where Nairobi River inaanza huko juu. That is ancestral land for us. In fact, the people of Dagoretti South are the unique people in Nairobi who have got freehold titles. For some of the people in Dagoretti South, their grandfathers are buried there.
Even buried.
They've had a lot of, that has been our ancestral land. That's where we were born. That's uko ndio ocha. And you have to appreciate that. But secondly, they came and we saw malice. Because with Kenya Kwanza...
There's who?
The government.
Okay.
Na hizi serikali yao na hizi jeshi zao. The first thing we saw was malice. Wanakuja wanatuambia 60 meters. If I show you those papers, 60 meters from the river, where sasa uko kwa kitchen unasumbua vijiko zangu. Where are we going to have that conversation with you? So, and then, now mahali waliharibu walisema, at once they are done with cleaning up the river and doing that nonsense they're calling regeneration, they will build affordable houses. We asked them, why do you want to destroy the houses we have afforded? So that you can build something you're calling affordable houses. On this 60-meter stretch, we have schools. On this 60-meter stretch, we have roads, Cabro roads built by the same administration. Wires za stima zimepita hapo, internet imepita hapo. We have churches on this 60-meter stretch. Sasa ndio wamediscover wanaweza kuja kutengeneza. I told them, if you go to Muslim primary school, hapa Kawangware, by the way, who advises you guys? Downstream, they are saying they are cleaning Nairobi River. One of the tributaries of Nairobi River is a dumping site. Muslim primary, ukisimama tu Muslim, unaiona hapo. It's an eyesore, it's ugly, it smells. And the people of Dagoretti have complained about it forever. It's a dumping site. All that damp waste goes down to the river. Na kuna mtu huko chini actively they are cleaning the river. You ask them, nyinyi, where did you leave your common sense when you came downstream and started cleaning papers and you know where they're coming from? We have told them, we have engaged them. But what they want is to continually and perpetually send people downstream to clean the garbage that they are dumping upstream.
Fanya Mambo, you're a lawyer. Explain
that
this to
case
me.
Is in court, and actually they were given a stay order.
Okay.
Leave our land alone.
There's something I don't understand. When you mention 60 meters, what are you talking about? 60 meters?
Now,
what
60 meters from
I'll tell
the
you
river.
what they say. That 60 meters on each side from the river.
What is it about?
They're calling it riparian. So we asked them, so
what
Dagoretti...
does the law
Exactly.
say?
Supposed to be 8 meters. So we are telling them, Dagoretti mbona 60 meters. In fact, we are telling them, if you want 60 meters, now tumefika mahali tutawapea. And we have that paperwork, and we have even the case number and the court number, because I remember we stopped it. We told them, let us now measure 60 meters from Nairobi all the way to Ruai. If that's what you want, let us do it from Dagoretti Kavothi.
Tuwe na equity. Kila
mpaka
mtu
Ruai.
apimiwe 60 meters.
Shida sasa ilianza kutokea Kileleshwa na Lavington.
Because pia hapo sasa itabidi
It is hot. And some of the people who are coming here to demand for 60 meters here have interests downstream in Kileleshwa and Lavington. So there was no way. And by the way, if you want to know, that is the same river. Unaona ukikuja hapa nyuma ya Boretam.
yeah.
There's a very big building that was once destroyed near Shell petrol station. Site is literally sitting on top of the river. Go and look at some of the people who own that building and some of the people who have rented that building and what is their connection to this
I've
administration.
marveled about that building.
Yes. Some of them,
I
in
have
fact,
marveled.
just go and look at, some establishments are known who owns them. Why would you come and rent a space that you know is on a river? Even if it's renting. So the thing is, the problem, we told them it's fine. If we get to a place where we have to do 60 meters upstream, let's do 60 meters all the way mpaka tufike Ruai.
Sasa na feel kama fala. Hiyo building tunaongelea ni hoteli?
Hapana,
Nah.
it's a commercial building.
It's a commercial building. Iwe boss
Iko
uko mbali.
butchery, iko
Umetoka
pharmacy.
Kileleshwa.
Yeah.
You are going down like that junction that goes up towards Arboretum.
Yes.
And this is the one that goes towards Westlands. So there's a Shell petrol station there.
There's a Shell, yes.
That building there, why is it standing on? On top of the river, literally.
You see,
You mean the petrol station itself?
It had been brought down, yes.
Yeah, remember the Petit was
Everything
brought
and
down?
what was there, because everything there is on the river.
Yes.
But now it's back. So what we were saying, sisi Dagoretti South, kama itafika mahali yenye ni lazima, because we shall have to fukua some of our grandfathers who are buried there. Kama tutafika mahali tutoe hizo remains zao,
Yeah.
because they are on that riparian land.
Ni sawa, lakini tufanye kila
Lakini
mahali.
tufanye kila mahali.
you
mpaka
know,
Ruai.
you cannot say that, as a criminal, I am a robber, and you want to, prosecute me. Prosecute me only if you're prosecuting all the robbers around.
But we have not robbed.
You see,
We have title deeds
we are doing
that include
think-
that part
Well,
they want to
that's an
test.
analogy.
So let's understand each other. The source of the problem, I told you, is the many successive regimes in Nairobi
Okay.
and how corrupt they were. Because what was happening with these rivers, when you have the source, Nairobi is a slanting. The highest point ni huko Rironi. The lowest point ni Ruai.
Okay.
And that's why the siwa here. So siwa yetu inaendanga na gravity. The challenge is the successive regimes in Nairobi have downgraded the rivers in Nairobi.
What do you mean?
So a river,
Yes.
the minimum distance you can build next to a river is 30 meters.
30.
30.
Hiyo
And a stream-
ni bylaws ya county.
Water Act, sio bylaw. Water Act. The
Water
National
Act.
The Water Act says
States
Which
30 meters.
applies here or in
It
Marsabit?
applies everywhere.
everywhere
In the
where
country.
there's no rivers, even lakes. In fact, now like the big water bodies is bigger. That's why you see the people in Nyanza are now facing a new challenge, because like the Lake Victoria, the backflow is 5 kilometers inside.
And it has taken very many homes.
Very
with it.
many, and schools. Around 20 schools are gone. Submerged. So the Water Act was envisaging a situation where we have such, disasters.
Okay.
But when you have a small river in Nairobi and you give 30 meters, the government thinks it's a good allowance. But somebody downgraded these rivers into streams. When you go to a stream, it starts from 6 meters. So it means a minimum of 6 meters you can build next to a stream.
Yes,
But this
Robert, break kidogo. When you say downgraded,
yes, in the city hall,
oh,
mtu anaenda akasema kwamba
the documentation
the documentation says
now refers to the river as a
As a
stream. I see.
Yes.
I see.
yes. So now they're an approval, because if it is a river, you cannot approve a building which is less than 30 meters from there. But if it's a stream, you can even approve 6 meters. You see? So the planning officers in Nairobi have been messing this thing. And now you find a situation where you saw what happened to Nakumatt, UK.
Yeah.
Because those people were built on top of a river. And you saw what was happening to Nakumatt, UK, wherever it
Wherever
rained.
it rained.
Yes, you see. And Nairobi, also the challenging thing is that Nairobi does not have rainwater, a drainage system for rainwater.
Okay.
And this is bringing a lot of problems, especially the affluent parts of Nairobi, because Nairobi was a racist city. It was built in a racist way. Kwamba mdosi alikuwa anakaa juu, maskini wote
wengine huko chini.
Maskini wote Eastlands. And Eastlands is the lowest part. So the people who are feeling the stench of Nairobi first, before it gets to the downstream,
the rich.
The rich. And they're feeling it because you live in a neighborhood like Riverside with ambassadors and whoever's, and you can now not live because everybody thought that the river, next to the river, was the best place to live, next to the water bodies, and it's the worst place now to live because the stench. You cannot open your windows, you cannot bring your $2 million home in Nairobi. You cannot sell that piece of land easily. If you sell it, the person who is building there's some houses being built in Riverside which cannot be occupied because of the kind of stench which are coming. And also, the lack of people are not paying attention to the environment. There's aeration where the rivers are the windows are supposed to. It's a whole mess.
But you're a member of a body that is supposed to rectify these things.
Me?
Yes. You are an MCA. You are a parliament.
You see when people were shouting yesterday they want to impeach Sakaja, it's because of these problems you have been complaining about. And people told me that I was the biggest enemy of Sakaja. Why am I not speaking? In fact, most media houses, when they ran the story of impeachment, wanasema sasa Alai ameleta kuimpeach Sakaja because they thought only me could do it.
Why are you considered to be Sakaja's enemy?
Because I was highlighting these things that I know I've served in criticizing the government outside when I was not elected. And I believe that public leadership is not something where you play, that it is not comradeship. We don't tell somebody kwamba lazima tukue. We were being warned in the assembly. I was banned for 4 months in that assembly and told never to criticize the governor. I was told by the speaker that the moment you try to impeach the governor, if I don't get a direct call from Raila Odinga, I will not allow a motion inside here. That's my speaker told me.
This is what the speaker
Speaker of the county assembly, Ken Ngondi, told me that. And it was, no, I'm reading the law. The County Government Act, Article 181 of the Constitution is saying this is the process of impeaching the. There's nowhere written kwamba lazima ni baba pige. This thing, that I cannot confirm this thing, baba. You are now just throwing names. How are you doing this thing? When I asked that question, I was banned from that assembly for 4 months.
Okay.
When I made sure that you could ban me from the assembly, but some of the things I could do through other committees like the park, and just hold the governor and the county officer, the chief officers accountable. I was removed from the park committee also. So when the impeachment, we were trying to bring the impeachment, I don't think it's impeachment. Ni kama mtu ana shake through the fruit tree. I don't think that anybody is serious.
It's called a shakedown.
There's a shakedown there happening. Just people to get their fair share of the loot. I believe that it is very unfortunate what we allowed in Nairobi, because we don't take. I wish that somebody like City would serve in the county assembly. But listen how he loves, because the mentality of the middle class in this city,
is to distance themselves.
No, even this guy, when he started hanging out with Wamunyoro, he now sees the MCA as too junior for his level.
No.
The middle class consider the seat of the MCA too junior for his level. There's somebody who is always hanging around our meetings, political meetings, and it was Anajiita Bolo. This guy, we met Juicy at when the president was opening starting these houses of police in Kilimani. This guy came from nowhere, and nobody knew him. So he was being asked, "Hey, unataka kuwa nini? MCA? MCA is too junior for me."
Oh.
And he shouted, I said, this guy has never known how to campaign and win a seat. He's saying MCA is too junior for him. Leave alone that. I wish that Nairobians would understand how important this seat, especially the city counties, Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu, Eldoret, Nakuru. I wish they would understand how important this thing is. Because if you take somebody who does not understand how to plan an urban center, how to have an integrated transport system, how to ensure that the transport system loops into the health system and the education system. Nairobi, you have the public utilities remaining behind in their 1970s and 80s state. When the city is, you're telling us the city is growing. That old Kileleshwa from University Way, up to Kianda School is served by 50 police officers. 50 police officers at Kileleshwa.
50?
Yeah.
And what's the population?
The population around 300,000. So that whole area, and the one vehicle they rely on is being used by the OCPD of Kilimani. You understand? We have to insist on the schools in this city. 80% of the schooling is private. Why? Because you are going to schools which are, during the weekends they are churches, during the week they are schools. At night they are bars, during the day they are schools. The alphabet schools. And he knows it because they are very common in Dagoretti, they are very common in the low-income areas, in Dandora, in Uruma. And so the schools there, if you go to Kileleshwa primary schools, because how we have built the city, the rich, the affluent, have blocked access to their areas from the poor people. Pale, we have a school there called Mutangari Primary School. That Mutangari Primary School does not have more than 500 pupils. But if you cross over less than 2 kilometers into Gatina Primary, you have 4,000 students. Same size of school, same size of classroom, same number of streams.
Actually, in your constituency, there's a school apparently has 6,000 students. I think it's Durarua.
Ndoraro is big. But you see, I have said one thing. Kenyans, shida ni yenyu. Because when you are given choices of governors, you know what you go for. Some are attracted to dimples. Some, I don't know, they're attracted to what. Then later all our roads are full of dimples. But I have always told our people, the day you'll start electing common sense into leadership, Kenya will move forward. For example, with the kind of thinking I'm seeing at City Hall, I'd offered myself for an MCA position.
And you should offer yourself still.
By the way, watu wa Dagoretti ndio waliniambia, oh, you're too polished for this. Sisi tunataka mtu. And I listened to them. I told them, what's the problem? Akaniambia we ni wakili, hatutaki ukuwe MCA. And so many other funny things. Also, plus, they didn't want Azimio that time. Nilikuwa nauza nguruwe kwa msikiti. So they didn't want Azimio. They
and
said,
why didn't they want Azimio?
Because walisema wanataka, were punishing Uhuru, I don't know for what.
For why? For associating with Baba.
Anyway.
Now you're punishing Ruto for associating with Baba.
No.
You're joined them.
No, let me tell you something. Don't distract my thought process. Now, Nairobi has a population of 2 million people that I believe should not be in Nairobi. And it's very simple. I used to buy water bottles from a factory in industry area that has about 1,800 employees then. Sai wamefika more than 2,000. Manufacturing should not be in Nairobi. If I was Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, I wouldn't have built the expressway. Or probably have spent that money building an industrial park in Machakos and towards Kajiado. And we do a serious encouragement of our companies, manufacturing plants to move towards that direction. I can tell you 1 million people would have followed their jobs. And if these 1 million people follow their jobs, their spouses will follow them. And if their spouses follow them, you will find that kuna mtu wanaitanga opportunistic investors. Wanangojanga watu wakienda inda wauzie mandazi na wakirudi jioni wauzie. Those ones would also have realized hakuna job hapa anymore. They would have followed them. Some matatus would follow some banks. Naturally, Nairobi would be left with a healthy population of 2.5 million people. I don't think the problem of Nairobi is infrastructure. I don't think the problem of Nairobi is that we need to start planning anymore. In fact, we don't even need to build new roads in Nairobi. What we need to start doing is a serious conversation about how do we make other counties work so that people find it comfortable to be where they are. I mean, you can imagine if the Utawala bypass was not opened, and you can imagine how many families are on that stretch. You can see now what is happening towards Ndeia. So what we need to do is to have a serious conversation around.
This is what Munyoro thought.
This is a.
This look like
we need to have,
Mobutu Seseko's thought.
No. We need to have a very serious conversation around how to make sure that Nairobi is not the only attractive city. And this rural-urban migration can be stopped if we do other things.
Yes,
This rural-urban migration we got to get to a place where somebody who came to Nairobi purposely because they thought that only employment opportunities are here will find it comfortable to find the same jobs and the same incomes and everything within their home counties. Because if we do that, because the more you continue expanding the roads, the more the population of Nairobi will continue coming here. What we are not doing is we are not asking ourselves, why are people living where they are to come here? And if we start having a thought process of how do we make sure that things are working all over the other places, then it's fine. He keeps mentioning Wamonyora. I want to tell him one thing.
Yeah.
Number one, the reason I worked with Raila Amolo Odinga because I did and because I was in Azimio is because I did not want William Ruto. Full stop. I've always made that clear.
Why didn't
I was
you
okay with Raila Amolo Odinga. I was not okay with the Ruto presidency because of the things we are seeing now, especially with Shah and all the other things that we have been seeing happening, and killings of Gen Zs and so many things I don't want to mention here. Now, when Raila Amolo Odinga was moving towards Ruto, we didn't have a conversation around that direction. So when Raila Amolo Odinga was going towards Ruto, I said, my support for you is not transferable to the person I was fighting. So when you go, I'm not going to go with you. My problem is not Raila Amolo Odinga. I've always made it clear. My problem is William Ruto. It's constant. And even right now, if Wamunyoro goes to Ruto, I'll fight him. When Wamunyoro came, he found me fighting William Ruto. In fact, I used to look like a madman in studio. They know me. All my clips used to go viral because I used to say we don't have a good president in office. So when Wamunyoro was in William Ruto's camp, I fought him thoroughly. I fought him every other time I had an opportunity. And I used to say, hii serikali yao ni mbaya wote. So when he left, and he started fighting the same person I'm fighting, I realized he's a bigger weapon against William Ruto than I am. Mimi nilikuwa narusha tu missiles tudogo. Anakuja na intercontinental ballistic missiles. Chwa! Boom! Unasikia kumelipuka kwote. Why would I not want to work with someone who is fighting my enemy harder than myself? So I am with Wamunyoro because he's fighting William Ruto and he's fighting him better than anybody else is doing in this country.
Not because he's a good leader.
But no, that when you're going to war, you choose the best weapon, and we have the best one in Wamunyoro. He's the biggest, best, most lethal weapon.
You're looking for warriors.
No. Listen, you will not get that leadership if you still have the wrong leader in place. First, we have to remove him, and now we have a good weapon that is helping us remove him from power. At least he came with one term, and even one child knows one term. So we need Wamunyoro for now. Now, as to whether he's going to be a presidential candidate or not, that's another issue. But in terms of the fight against William Ruto, he's the biggest asset.
He's even
and
a good
let me end by saying,
Robert,
let me end by saying, the fact that I am working with Wamunyoro does not mean that I hate Raila Amolo Odinga or I'm fighting, because that's what people are trying to do. Ati hao tu Wamunyoro wanachukia Raila. No, I got 1,300 votes in Waithaka ward. And I made sure that mimi sikuficha baba kama bangi. All my posters had babas photo on that. Unajua Kikuyu walikuwa na campaign wanaficha baba kama bangi. Wanaulizwa presidential candidate anasema wekeni mwenye mtataka. I campaigned for him, so I earned him votes in Waithaka, and I convinced very many people to vote for him. So I haven't had a problem with Raila Amolo Odinga. I have a problem with William Ruto. And for as long as Raila is with Ruto, I will not support that side. I won't fight him, but I will not support him. The day he leaves Ruto, and I know he will, and even this guy knows in his heart, wanangoja tu ni siku wanahesabu, utasikia amesema sasa hii kitu ifanye kazi.
That's your wish.
No, they will. They will.
Now, there's something I want to understand from Robert. And you mentioned something when he was putting out some points, and you said that's Wamunyoro thinking. So I feel like you have an issue with
how the thought process of Wamunyoro. Somebody has told you that, for you to control the overpopulation or the slums or the lack of jobs in the cities, not to build roads. I worked in, my first job was to get into Tanzania, and I worked there. I went there without a passport, and luckily in Tanzania I got a job with the UN, and the UN mission was in Congo. So I got to travel a lot in the Ituri region, the eastern region, which has a lot of problems, Manono, Kalemi, Lubumbashi, Bukavu, a lot, serving from Kigoma, Tanzania. And one thing I learned with Mobutu Sese Seko's role, he has a one policy on infrastructure. And one policy is one, to control the number of people who are going to Kinshasa, so that the poor people from the rural areas don't go and overthrow him. And his policy worked in this way. No roads. Here's why I'm saying is no roads. He said that the best way to make sure that nobody gets to Kinshasa. But remember, Laurent Kabila was in fact a Congolese living in Kigoma. That's why he had a very fluent Swahili, and that's why even the son had very good Swahili. He was living in Kigoma. This guy crossed over into Uvira and walked over thousands of... Congo is kubwa. It stretches from eastern side to the western side. You remember the Kinshasa is bordering Uko, West Africa, Uko, Central Africa, the far end of it. You see? And he went with this Karagtag army and went and overthrew him. A determined person will cross rivers, oceans, valleys, what if they want, if there's a job in Nairobi, the solution to that is not refusing to build roads.
No, we didn't say
Nairobi,
don't build roads.
listen,
What
listen,
we
Nairobi-
said is sometimes some of the monies we've allocated to infrastructure building, some of the roads we are building, will not get us where we want to. What
actually
we needed
give
to ask
an
them to do
alternative.
is to start asking, why do we have all
What's
the
the alternative?
manufacturing concentrated here?
Alternative was developing those rural areas.
Those things that are making those people come here are some of the things we need to address.
You see, when
You can't have the capital city. It is the administrative city. It has a national park. It has all the manufacturing. It has the
But
greatest
Fanya
GDP.
Mambo, it
has
doesn't
everything.
have all the manufacturing. Even you know
The
that.
bulk of it is here.
No, it
57%.
doesn't understand.
Manufacturing is in Thika. Manufacturing is in Machakos County.
Moroni, among the rural constituencies, let me highlight, this is the lack of opening new mind. And this is what devolution should have cured. I told you, one of the things I wanted, and I talked to my governor, I said, and the speaker, please, let's have an exchange program. 10 MCAs from Nairobi goes to Turkana for 2 weeks. So that we have an exchange program of all the counties, and we celebrate it during the devolution conference, where we don't celebrate the most shining governor. You see, one of the things I wanted people to understand is to open their minds. Rural constituencies, apart from Nairobi, unajua Muhoroni has more factories than anywhere you consider. We have a steel, we have cement, we have mattress, we have PVC, we have
In one
constituency called Muhoroni.
Which one? The Muhoroni?
Muhoroni
The Moroni
constituency.
constituency. Oh, by the way,
Okay.
Fanya Mambo, I come from there. So what he's saying is actually...
It's so rich. It's so rich. You go there, you find
we can
fertilizer
I can
factories.
actually count them for you. Okay?
Okay.
Let's start with Muhoroni Sugar Factory, agrochemical. They're almost in one compound.
Yes.
Then you move to Chemelil. Then you move to Kibos. Then you move to
And Kibos is
Miwani.
5 factories in one complex.
Yes.
Which makes me agree with you on one thing.
Yes.
If that hadn't happened in Muhoroni, where would all those young people be?
You know.
Yeah.
But,
No. I'm actually supporting your view because
Yes.
I actually like your view. Because in all honesty, you depopulate as a certain geographical area by ensuring that amenities that were found in a particular place are also available. I will give a very simple example. Westlands. I was young when the CBD was everything.
Yes.
Westlands is like a town on its own. You'd think Westlands is not part of Nairobi.
Yes.
If that thinking was within the counties, many of the people who actually live in Nairobi have counties where they came from. Now, the county governments were supposed to cure this. But these people and their
and to an extent they have.
yes, and these people and their thieving ways, okay?
To-
there is absolutely no way.
To an extent, city, I would defend the counties. To an extent, they have. I know that the grid and also systems, and I wish that we develop a system which transcends generation. Because what happens is now, not only because I see everybody's trying to focus on the revenue generation system. Everybody is now talking about. When the government usually said that CG pay through this system, we have to procure through this system, everybody was opposing like we have two governments. I think that it should not be seen like you hate Ruto, so you don't want a system proposed by him. People need to understand that we live in one country. People need to understand that we live in one country called Kenya. I see sometimes you go to a health minister, you try to engage on the policy, the health policy. He tells you that, but that one you should talk to your CEC Health. I said, but you are health minister, Kenya. You need to understand that you work with each other, not against each other. And so when they are talking about this depopulation or developing the rural areas, for the first time in this country, I think that Nini is 10 years. Devolution is 10 years. What we need to understand is that for the first time, we have people who are getting into the middle class without stepping into Nairobi. A good number of them. Somebody in Turkana, if you go to Turkana today, they'll tell you the ECDs which have been built. They'll tell you roads which have been brought because of the kind of expansion they're seeing the counties are doing. They'll tell you in Mandera that at least they're seeing some development here. It might not be at par, because also the challenge is that a lot of resources are still in the central place.
Robert.
Yes.
We are seeing the
That
monies
is-
from
out of
some
that,
of those
Robert,
counties
Robert,
here.
Robert, that is minimalist thinking. I'm going to explain to you what I mean. What you say is true. But we seem to have the cup half full mentality, where we stop looking at the colossal amounts of money that have been given to counties. Even if we take that 60% goes to paying people, we talk of the 40% which remains. There are very few places where you can say that 40% is represented within the economy. You see, the changes, I agree, exist. My problem is they should have been multiplied tenfold. Then I would know the county system is working. I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong. There are changes, but that's not what we wanted as a county system. The changes that we're talking about were supposed to be infinitely more comprehensive, where your ward also becomes a place of business. Your ward also becomes a place where revenue generation. Now, your ward probably has that facility. You cannot develop an economy of the nation if the smallest unit isn't participating effectively.
How much money has been sent to the counties this year?
No, how much money has been sent to the counties from the beginning?
No. Let's just talk. Let's go here.
I am not talking about the current. I'm talking about history.
It's not about the current. I'm just trying to answer you the history with the current. How much money has been sent to the counties this year?
I think the first question that we need to be asked.
Just answer my question.
I'm answering you.
Yes.
I think the first
July is when the county governments, many county governments receive.
How much money?
You're asking for the total amount of money.
I'm interested in Fanya Mambo's answer.
It's very simple.
Wait.
No, let's answering my question, because they're going to evade the question.
No, I'm going to answer him the
with
question.
Their theory.
He's getting to the answer. I'm assuming you are getting to the answer.
him.
Yeah.
Counties are very quick to tell us how much money has been sent and how much has not been sent.
In fact, that's what
no county wants to tell you how much money they've collected.
I'm not counties.
Tuambie nyinyi mumeokota ngapi? Because the only time Nairobi County inakuanga na shida.
I'm trying.
City and Robert.
For our purposes,
He's not answering the question.
For our purposes, you represent the county. Now, since you're representing every county.
I'm the Council of Governors.
Okay. Robert, since you know the amount, tell us.
City Muga, calm down.
Listen. I want to tell the figure, because the figure is very important.
How much is it?
What is the national budget?
The budget is it 4.something trillion?
4.2 trillion.
4.2 trillion. How much was sent this year to the counties?
Tell me, because I don't know.
435 billion. What is the percentage of 435 billion over 4?
10%.
About 10%.
Yeah?
It's about 10%.
10%.
So 10%. Go to the counties. And I wish that we did research. Add how long has devolution existed? 10. So let's remove the 35. Let's assume that they have been sending, in 10 years they have sent 4 trillion. 4 trillion, this other government has remained with what? 40 trillion. So this 40 trillion, go to the national government. Tell me what they have built with the 40 trillion.
You see now, that is precisely the point. Our discussion was on the national government.
No, but I'm telling you, you have to compare. You have to compare.
Calm down.
I am not called. No,
there is a point that Fanya Mambo was driving to, and I'd like us to get to that.
This
point.
is the point, and it's a very simple point.
Yes.
Unaona hii Nairobi wameapprove buildings ngapi? They never want to tell us how much they earn from approving a building, or how much they collect from parking or anything. The only thing they want to tell us is that they exist to take money from the national government. I think a sensible county should start by telling us, this is how much we collect from bus, this is how much we collect, this is what we are doing with our money, and then the one that is coming from national government, this is what it's doing. We have people who are very comfortable with collecting a lot of money, and we know of county officials. You remember there was a time, not under this government, where there was one accountant, where there was one accountant who was earning 85,000, but alipatwa na a few billions in the account. What we are trying to say is, before you tell us how much money you have not received from the national government, at least tuambieni pesa yetu ya parking inaenda wapi. By the time you wake up and approve a building in Kileleshwa, and then you say there is no sewer system, it means the person who was approving that building is not using common sense. You can't come and approve a building that is 15, 16 floors, and then at the same time come and tell us there's a sewer problem, and then you expect money from the national government to come and fix the sewer problem that you created by approving that building. You county people have failed. Let us agree. You have been collecting money from us, and you don't want to tell us where that money is going. You don't want to account for anything. You just want us to have a conversation about money coming from the national government. Hii yenyu tuambieni ni ngapi, inatoka wapi, inaenda wapi, inatumiwa lini, inafanya nini. Is the only conversation that governors don't want.
By the way, you know where Fanya Mambo is where you'll lose. because this is the sector and the people who have suffered the most is Zone 4. Zone 4 is Kilimani, Kileleshwa, Westlands. And one of the contributors of this negative effect of approval, key contributors, immediately got into power is Wamunyoro. And he was just staying 1.5 kilometers away from here.
Yeah.
Hapo nini Kirichwa. He had some office there. And all these Chinese, you know, some of the things.
So Wamunyoro was approving buildings.
He was in fact, when they started disagreeing with the governor, is when the governor refused to allow some of the approvals. And he said, Lazimu talk. This is when they said, kwamba the minority side was not moving fast to ensure that the governor was impeached. And we said the solution to this problem...
Is that when we started seeing some drama between them?
Yeah, there was a lot of drama. You know, they were saying, we are a degree, who is tribal. They were insulting each other in front of the president all the time.
Okay.
And we didn't find it because they were missing the point. There was a very big crisis of management of Nairobi, and some of us were trying to highlight it, though we were called monos. And we were expected not to know. You know, in politics here, if you are elected for the first time, they call you monos. Yeah. Like in high school. You see? So, you are not expected to understand some of this. But some of us, because we ensure that when you bring a paper before the house, we read what happens in that city, counties. But then Nairobi, the Nairobi politics, how it has been designed, it is in such a way that it cannot help Nairobi. And it cannot help Nairobi.
Come again?
The politics, especially, you know, the political side, Nairobi has two sides. The counties, all of them have two sides. The executive and the assembly side. So assembly side should be doing the oversight, the representation, the making of the budget, and the legislation side of it. You see? But because of the... First, Nairobi, the executive is wrong. Because we have the national executive, which does not know what happens in the Nairobi county, the capital city. The first time when Nairobi had some impactful development, the general who was acting as the governor then was sitting in the cabinet. And I believe that the Nairobi governor must sit in the cabinet. And the national government needs to have a view and in sync, that the national development plan should be in sync with the capital city.
Why?
The challenge in the Nairobi here is that how the politics have been, you know, the local governments, and now we are in the counties, is that when Fanya Mambo is a youth from whatever slum areas, and he has done a lot of mobilizations and support of the politics, they believe that the counties, the MCAs, and whatever the nominations which are they doing in the counties, it should be a dumping ground for all the people they consider should start to learn how they should politics. But they don't consider somebody. That's why I said somebody like City, because I believe City is wise. Nairobi, the county assembly lacks maturity. Because you need to get, you know, in counties, if you go to the state assemblies in the US, you get some people who are 70 years old. They are business people. They have built factories. They have served in the army. They have served in the government. They know how the systems work. They can guide the young people who are trying to get into the politics and the small elective units how to run political affairs and how to build better systems for their. This doesn't happen in Nairobi. Watu wanakosana, you see what happened in Kericho juzi. Watu wanakosana kidogo, ngumi kwa nyumba. Then you ask ourselves, really? Is this thing...
But Alai, tell us, in just a very simple question, what does it take for the governor to send a few lorries today and a tractor to remove that heap of rubbish that is outside the gate? Outside the gate of a primary school. Because this guy is cleaning the river downstream, and the garbage is coming from here, and he knows. I mean, Robert, let me tell you, your governor is not... Sakaja, by they should be impeached. If he was willing to clean up Nairobi, some of those places, kama Muslim, atutaki rockets. Tuma lori tano leo.
Si tuchukue break kidogo.
Na excavator, toeni hiyo takataka hapo leo. What does it take?
Tuchukue break kidogo.
Kuna lori mtanunua.
Tuite fire brigade. When we return. It is Radio Generation, the People's Breakfast is where we're at, and indeed we're the home of hard truths and bold insights. Na hapa kuna cheche za moto zimekuwa zikitupwa in regards to some questions, and I think it's important we actually get to the bottom of this. Robert Alai, we are with Robert, by the way. He is the Kileleshwa MCA. We are also with Fanya Mambo. He is a lawyer and a political analyst. There's a question that Fanya Mambo asked before we went for the break.
In fact, I need to qualify my question.
Please do.
And because hata watu wa kwetu Dagoretti, and that's the larger Dagoretti. In fact, he's the constituency he's in is not part of Dagoretti South, but there's a huge garbage heap right outside the primary school. That garbage heap has been an eyesore and a pain for everybody. Sasa mimi nilikuwa nauliza Robert Alai, kwa heshima aende ongee na governor. You know na kile kilori kilimwaga takataka pale Kenya Power,
yes. That
lorry is still available and I think the driver is still alive or there's a replacement for him. I mean, it would take very little effort from where I sit to send a lorry there to just remove that garbage from there. This road also of 46 Kawangware hapo ndani, it's an eyesore because most of our people from Dagoretti South, that's one market they have worked on for a very long time. So it's a border. I have to discuss about a border issue. Hiyo takataka Robert Alai, enda uambie governor wenyu akuje atume kile kilori kilienda Kenya Power kichukue hiyo kitu. That's all we want. Yes. Yeah.
you know when you see how the counties work, the person who is outside, who is not the MCAs, is very closer to the governor than the MCA. And you see, when people, our framers, thought of the constitution, they didn't. I think they were bullied by the MPs then, because and also the MPs were the people controlling the system. Because you remember Kitambo, the cabinet secretaries have to come from among the MPs and so on. Then Wazes who were behind the strong push for the constitution saw themselves as going to be powerful as oversighting the governors and thought that the Senate was going to be the most powerful house. So all of them, Kiraitu Murungis, James Orengos, Anyang Nyongos, all of them went to become senators. Then people realized that we have just given some monsters, they are called governors, too much powers. And now every one of them thought we have to become governor. You see? But what they forgot were the people to oversight the governors, because you paid, and I'm very. This is why I'm very supportive of William Ruto, because he's the person who has shown the intention. For the first time, we have the governors are getting the full allocation. They cannot blame us. The second thing we have done is that we are trying to give assemblies their powers as they should be, so that when every month I wake up, I don't dream kwamba unajua salary yangu is supposed to be paid by the governor. Because the CEC finance is the one who is signing for the allocation for the county assemblies has to pass through the CEC. So what happens when the county assembly puts the governor in check? What will happen is that the governor says that we have used all our money in paying the recurrent and we don't have enough money for the assembly. So assemblies don't have salaries for like 3-4 months. What do? Go and beg him.
Does it actually happen?
That's what happens.
He's actually talking about what happens.
What happens? That's how it was designed. That
mnakaa 4 months bila mshahara.
Sasa utafanya nini? So watu wanaanza kutafuta madeals.
Unaenda kwa governor nyumbani.
Ukienda kwa ground, those guys will not listen kwamba. And the worst thing you can tell a mwananchi is that the person you are elected with ameshinda kudeal nayo. Na unasema kwamba governor atakusikiza. How are you coming back to us? You go and sort that thing there. You see? So in fact, in a situation where imagine that you put the governor in check, and that's why we are fighting for something called the World Development Fund. Today, if I push the governor to a corner, what he'll do, he might not refuse me salary, because people will call it inhuman, wakina CT, they might noise, lipa Alai salary yake, wacha kutesa huyo kijana wa mtu, alitoka tu blogging juzi akaingia hii kazi ya MCA, hebu muonea huruma. You know, he knows that will generate a very negative media for him. So what he does is that Alai Maniskuma, all the construction work in Kileleshwa stops. There is no compelling reason, there is no law compelling him that he must equitably develop every ward. So we see this World Development Fund is not a fund where the MCAs control. We want every ward to have an equitable share. Let's say Ward A, like Kilimani where we are, does not have a slum. So we give the wards with bigger low-income development more allocation, you see, and we try to ensure that we bring everybody at par with each other. You see, we want the governor to be compelled by a law. Maybe we amend the County Government Act, which does not exist now. What the senators and the MPs believe is that we are going to give the MCAs too much development that will make them candidates for their replacement. So they don't want it to pass. That's why I'm very happy with, because William Ruto personally ensured that the law which was amended to ensure that the allocation for the assemblies from treasury goes back to.
Unaona hii kizungu yote bado kuna mtoto anafungua shule kesho na takataka iko kwa gate yake. We don't care, let me tell you. As Nairobians, we don't care what is what development fund and all those other things you're telling us. What we care about,
that's where your problem
what
starts.
we care about is that there's a county government in place with county equipment and there is a stench at the gate of a primary school and they are giving us theories about who is MP, who is MCA and where is the border, and sisi hatutaki hizo theory. All we want is we know that if that garbage was at Sakaja's gate, haiwezi lala for one night. And I think what the favor then we need to do is tuonyeshwe somewhere, the place where some of these county officials live, kama mkubwa wa environment. Hiyo takataka itolewe hapo Muslim primary, iende imwagwe kwa gate yake, right outside his gate. Let it stay there for a month tuone kama ita happen. Kama mtatuambia hizi theory zote mnatuambia hapa,
the chief officer environment comes from Kawangware.
Sasa iende imwagwe kwa gate yake. She's not feeling the pinch. I think let us have this conversation from a point of you have a humanitarian responsibility to the people of Nairobi. And one of them, and this is serious, let me tell you, that is just cholera loading there. If you see that...
CT, the reason why that garbage has not moved, one of the reasons also is because of people like Fanya Mambo. Because today...
Oh.
Yeah.
How?
Because today, if you go to there, you know the war of garbages in this city. It's a very serious...
What is this war of garbage? Why don't you explain it to us so that we understand it?
You know, the garbage economy.
Meaning it's a business and people keep fighting for that business.
It's controlled by gangs. Today, if the MP of Dagoretti North, the most senior politician in the constituency, decided that Mimi na MCAs wangu, we are going to work to ensure that this garbage is removed here. The kind of vicious gang wars which will erupt.
Really?
Yeah, so watoto wasafe.
No,
because the leaders are afraid.
These boys did not...
Let me just understand this. What will the gang wars be about? What is the fight?
These young boys don't have employment. So what they do is that they collect garbage from every household.
Yes.
You see?
And they are paid.
And they are paid.
Okay.
You see? So they bring it there. When you remove... They bring it there. That place they call it a central collection.
All right. Why do they bring it there?
Because they don't have anywhere. They
can't take it to Dandora. Dandora blocked a road.
Dandora, if they take it, they have a new kind of gang there.
Oh, okay.
So the gang in Dandora will charge them for bringing garbage.
I see. So essentially you're saying in these areas, these gangs create their own dump sites.
Yes.
And that is a dump site.
That's a dump site for them. And they say this is our land because they were born there. And
the gangs are more important than the children.
They are more powerful. That's why Fanya Mambo, when you become so real, you don't get elected. That's why you can get 1,300 votes. The politicians who know this.
Of course, I don't want foolish votes. I want the right votes. I mean, if you are voting to keep a gang,
that was one word.
Yeah, of course, the winner had 5,000 votes. It's nothing. Let me tell you, if you're planning to give me votes so that I can keep a gang that protects garbage and children are going through and musinivotie. I want to make it very clear. If you are holding your vote and you're planning to vote for Fanya Mambo so that he can retain a gang that keeps children's health at risk, don't vote for me. Si lazima nichaguliwe mimi. I have always made that clear. In fact, venye sikuchaguliwa sikukufa, even my profile went higher. And mukininyima 2027, I'm offering myself for the right leadership. By the mukininyima 2027, 2028, my profile will be even higher. So for me, I don't care about being voted to do the wrong thing. Yeah. If you're planning to queue to vote for me to do the wrong thing,
so you believe that
keep your vote. I have to get there to do the right thing. I am always very, very straightforward.
So if you're voted in, you will be very unpopular.
There's something
and you don't want to be
there's something Robert Alai said.
If you vote me and I come and I clean a road that helps 2,000 school children.
Yes.
And I had 300 criminals who are putting that place and turning it to a gang. It's okay. It's fine. I don't want 300 criminals. Actually, by the way, they don't even vote.
There's something
it is the parents of these children who vote.
There's something Rigiji said shortly after he was ejected from power. And it came out clearly that he says that venye walikuwa na campaign up until the point where he got into the deputy president position, that things for him were a bit different, and things got weirdly different when he actually got into power. Then Robert Alai told us here the last time he was at Radio Generation, he said that it is easier to make noise when you're outside until you get inside. Yes. That's when you realize vitu ni different kwa ground. So this is my question to you, Fanya Mambo.
Yes.
Do you believe that perhaps that is one of the problems we have with all our leaders? Because when they're out here, they're championing for us, then they're saying the right things. But when they get in there, sometimes, for lack of a better word, they even become sycophants. So I don't know. What?
I mean, let us say one thing. Have you ever realized that there's something called the common good? Something that the whole society wants. And then there's something that is wanted by a few selfish, useless people in society. And most of the time, leaders fall for what these a few selfish people. When you hear City Hall speaking of cartels, and they're thoroughly afraid of them, when you count those cartels, hata labda hizi fika 100, there comes a time when people have to make a very serious decision and say, I will do something that works best for the majority of Kenyans. And it is possible. The problem is, when we get there, we start being afraid of the wrong people. And when you look at those cartels, hata wakiambiwa wapige kura, there are 100 of them. They might have power to influence a few voters here and there. But let me tell you, when you do the right thing, Kenyans stand with you. When you do the correct thing, Kenyans will be with you. So for me, I am not looking to become popular to the wrong people. What I don't want is to become like William Ruto, unpopular to the right people, because he's now unpopular to the masses, to the majority. Then he's popular to Robert Alai and Raila Odinga and a few other people who are few. I don't want to be like William Ruto. You are popular to the set of few who are wrong. I want to be popular to the majority of people who are right and who mean well for this country.
The wrongness, the level of mistakes we have as people who consider, who you say that you are popular to, Ruto is we are popular to him, is the fact that you only tested at the ballot, and the ballot is still coming, and I'm very sure that even Fanya Mambo will not vote for Amunyoro. I'm very sure about that.
So I'll vote for who? And it can't be Ruto.
Let me tell you, you'll vote for Ruto.
How?
You'll vote for Ruto.
Where?
You and
I'd rather die. I'd rather die.
I know this guy because I know he means well, and he know a good thing. Ruto is one of the best politicians, and Fanya Mambo would vote for him.
Politicians,
because I've seen. I was regretting.
Let's talk about Ruto for a second.
Listen, I was regretting not coming to the assembly with this person because I've seen the kind of people we're interacting with sometimes there, and I'm saying that.
And the ones they voted in my place.
Yes, and he's making another mistake. You know, the psychology of the Kenyan voter is that atakuuliza kwamba wewe ulishindwa kupata MCA, utapataje MP?
Can I answer that question just before I go there?
Yes.
Let me answer that question. You know, in this country, PLO Lumumba offered himself for leadership. They refused.
He's not the smartest leader. He's one of the worst leaders you can ever
explain to you.
You tell me another
He
one.
failed. Okay? Jim Nambaru failed at the
Another bad one.
Peter Kenneth failed at the bad one.
Another bad one.
Okay? Okay. And there are very many other brilliant people I can tell you.
Brilliant in what? In talking?
Wait. How? And even of late, Polycarp Igathe, he offered himself as
that's my governor,
yes.
But now you refuse, yeah.
But that never became. The converse of it is that Kawanjiko was voted, Sudi was voted, and a few others of that caliber were voted for.
Because I told you the
elections
the
elections do not confer genius upon someone who was otherwise foolish. And they don't make someone who was foolish otherwise genius. So the thing is, the fact that PLO was not voted for does not make him a dimwit.
And the
fact that
Sudi was voted in.
And that is why, ask yourself when you're going to the ballot, if the United Nations was given Sakaja today, and they were given Polycarp Igathe, and they were told, we want someone, choose one to head a department, you know who they would vote for. I think I always tell Kenyans that way. When you are running, if you owned a stream of 10 petrol stations, your own petrol stations, and you are told to choose between Sakaja and the Igathe to run those 10 petrol stations, you know who we would vote for. The problem we had today is that the bulk of us, when you go to the ballot, when something is public, it is useless. So that if I'm choosing a maid for my children, one of the first things I say, hey, ni maid akuwe na masomo ya form 4, anaweza fanyisha watoto CBC, and a very high standard for a house help because it is my personal space. Now, when you are choosing somebody to go and oversight billions, because akina Alai are dealing with billions at the county assembly, unasema birth certificate is enough. And that is now the attitude that is hurting this nation. We have to get to that place where we start saying, tuache upuzi kama voters. And me, I'm one person who's had the courage of looking at voters in the eye and telling the voter, you are wrong. The fact that we have some of those horrible leaders in power means that the voter is wrong. And me, I'm not afraid to tell the voter. And I always tell the voter, by the way, voter, when you see a brilliant person who offered themselves and they were not voted, don't come and laugh at them and say, well, what awezi kuwa MCA. Laugh at yourself and say, I don't have the capacity to make a brilliant person a leader, but I have the capacity to make a cabbage a leader, and I am having cabbage problems.
Your hypothesis is
he has qualified my statement.
Yes, and you're both wrong. And I'm going to explain to you why you're both wrong. You are assuming just because somebody has a university education and has had experience in the corporate sector that they'd make a good political leader.
The worst ones.
It doesn't work like that.
They're looking for managers now.
That's what Uhuru tried. And how did that work?
Mbadi did excellent.
But he did excellent what?
He asked him, not the minister. Buddy, the governor who never was a governor.
You don't know the kind of mess Buddy left in the county. Received all the money, but left a pending bill of 100 billion plus. Money was cutted. You know, if we start discussing even the recent impeachment.
Which governor is this you're talking of?
The general body.
General body.
Oh, general body.
Not the minister for finance.
So, this idea that somebody who has a good corporate record will make a wonderful political manager and you give him the job of a CS, that is a clear lack of understanding of how the anatomy of government and how government works. You're picking someone right out of the blue to superintend people who have been working in this place all their lives and who know how it works.
How the system
works. And then you bring this new person and you think it's actually going to work.
How it works horribly.
So you say we regurgitate these people?
No. People who know what they're supposed to do do a far better job than these new people you bring. That is my view. Because they actually know how you need to manage this thing. Government doesn't require too many newfangled ideas, which is in essence are theories which somebody wants to implement and they've never been tried and tested anywhere else. So what you do is you create confusion. And the people who work under you will follow your lead even when they know you're wrong. Because you're the boss. Believe me, the people and the people who work there who probably felt it was time that they were promoted, they'll be disgruntled. And they watch this person being brought in.
And because they hate Sakaja now, Fanya Mambo and his people think that Kakuya and Babu Owino are the next best thing after Sakaja. What you're dealing with.
I want us to talk about Ruto for a second. I wanted actually to start from there earlier on. Something that perhaps CT you'll also help me bring to whatever. There's this thing we say that perhaps the reason, and this one is directed to you, Fanya Mambo, the reason that perhaps the president is underperforming in our eyes is because he inherited a lot of problems from previous presidents, going all the way back to President Jomo Kenyatta. And of course, by the time we're getting to like a president like Uhuru, we're talking about the amount of debt that he took. And so now Ruto just found this particular situation. Yes, he has his own flaws, and we'll highlight those ones. But compared, or rather tukiongeza hizo zake, alafu tuongeze hizi zingine za Uhuru, na tuongeze zile zingine za Kibaki, then now we are having the kinds of problem that we're having today. Some of the issues we are facing and we are pointing fingers at the president are not necessarily because he did it, but it's because he's the president.
I'll start by asking you, how many Subarus did he inherit from the previous presidents?
All of them.
Yeah?
All of them.
And why did
he has not had any new leasing program?
No, the ones we saw in Rongai were very new.
No.
Let me tell you something. And let us be. And by the let me tell you.
By the way, Uru started the Subaru program. So
where this administration is failing.
Because Gachagua was peer to Uru.
Let me tell you where this administration is failing. Now, look at eCitizen, for example. You wake up one morning and the Auditor General, not Fanya Mambo, tells that, for example, eCitizen has lost 15 billion or has lost 40 billion. They tell us that the money being collected in eCitizen is not ending up where it's supposed to be at the consolidated fund. There is no arrest, there is no charge, there is no naming, there is nothing. Life has to go on as usual, okay? And then you want Kenyans to continue paying more taxes. You come and ask yourself, this President William Ruto that people are over-glorifying and saying that he inherited a lot of debt has actually borrowed a lot more within 2 years than any president has ever borrowed within 2 years. You ask him, if debt is bad, why are you borrowing? You can't come say you're in a hole, you continue digging deeper, and then you're saying, tukona shida ya debt, and then you are going all over the world borrowing more money.
Actually,
Kibaki did 33 trips in 10 years. No. That Ruto did within less than 1 year. Kuzurura tu dunia akiomba pesa. The money that he's borrowing is sinking us further into debt. So you can't come and say debt is bad and borrowing money is bad, and then you are borrowing a lot more money than the other people ever borrowed. So you have to come and show us debt is bad by refusing to borrow debt. But you can't come and tell us madeni ni mbaya, and then you are borrowing a lot more loans at higher interest rates than your predecessors, and then you're expecting the loan problem to come to an end. Look at SHA. Now, you come and find NHIF. It was not excellent, but to some extent it was working. And Kenyans had found it reliable, and to some extent it was helping them.
Actually, the vast extent it was working.
It was working.
It was
you come
working
and bring
well.
a terrible thing called...
used NHIF.
Yes, we have all used NHIF. Huku wanatumia, wewe unajua wewe ni rich kid. Now, NHIF is
The
working.
assumptions in this one,
NHIF is working. And then now you bring us SHA. Angalia ile aibu tumepata. Mpaka mnakuja mnaambua Ladnan Hospital, mnaambua menye hiyo hospitali, mnaambua what does Duale do as late as last evening? They come and suspend the hospitals. They are not interested in the people. Yani, the hospital is the criminal. Are you getting what I mean? The hospital is the criminal. In this Ruto administration, at least time ya Uhuru hata tulikuwa tunaona watu wanachajiwa na corruption. I'm not saying he handled it well, but we would see a few people being brought before court and charged with. Sahi ya time ya Ruto, what we are seeing, if you ask me, kama sasa hospitali
the governor is in jail.
No, sasa zina suspendiwa. Now, when all those ones are suspended, you ask who are behind them. Their names are known. Where are they? They are still in office. Yeah? Now, easy, uliona usiku Nyandiwa watu wakifieka. I wish you can share those videos here, kwanza they are online. Inafiekwa usiku because ilipatiwa 19 million na ilikuwa na magugu imefika hapa. Imefiekwa so that it looks like a hospital that you'd have received 19 million. It is where it is on the map of Kenya, but at least the videos are there. What I like about Kenyans is the fact that wherever you mention that umepeana kitu, people tell you, by the way, I live here. They take a pin, they take a photo, and they show you what you're dealing with. So I don't need to note where Nyandiwa is, and I don't need to go.
That also shows the lack of understanding of, because, when you go to a place like Kisumu,
it's hard to defend Duale. Started by just saying, wacha Duale abebe mzigo yake. It's easier for you, Robert.
There are very many Nyandiwas, versions of Nyandiwa. And maybe your understanding of Nyandiwa does not work well in this situation of you're trying to do the public audit.
Why are they clearing the bush?
I don't know who is clearing the bush, but I'm very sure that, people, when you get good publicity, you're preparing the visitors to come and find at least a decent place. That is the only honorable thing to do as a host. When you hear people, you don't want even the enemies to come and find you in a very bushy, area.
The bushy area has 19 million.
So the actual Nyandiwa, and I think the explanation was very good that the actual Nyandiwa which was receiving was using because this is how government also happens to make, and with the devolved units. And when sometimes I was in park, you understand how the lack of speed in the transfer of assets hamper, especially the water services and the health systems. You find that they have built a new hospital.
I'll show you photos before and after, and during the cleaning.
You have built a new hospital, and this new hospital is supposed to be using the systems from the previous health ministry.
Yeah.
You see? And the health ministry has not been able to transfer some of the assets to the county because that level is now managed by the devolved unit. And you find people are now struggling with the name. So you find payment is going to a dispensary or going to a health center, which is not... The upgraded place has a different name because the governor in place decided to give a new name to the new facility.
Yeah.
So sometimes also the naming can be a great mix up. But also I agree with the Fanya Mambo that the kind of mess we saw in the SHA and the fact that Ladnan was even associated with the CEO of SHA, the chairman of SHA.
Yeah.
It's very unfortunate.
Why is it unfortunate?
I believe that that because he said that he detached from the system, the facility in 2023, where he went. The facility is now being managed by Metropolitan something, but I don't know how far he disassociated from the system. But what I understand is that when it feels messed up, it is messed up.
Okay.
That article appeared yesterday in the Standard newspaper. The headline, unfortunately, there was a bit of a disconnect between the headline and the story, because the story wasn't talking about payments made to other hospitals in general. They mentioned a few, even gave a list. The story was about that one particular hospital. So essentially, in my mind, you are talking about what you call a conflict of interest. Okay? But that was not what the headline was. No.
I've not read the Standard.
What CT is saying is that there was nothing fraudulent about it, because they should have compared it with other hospitals.
No, I'll tell you why it was fraudulent. It was fraudulent because you remember a hospital that is defunct, but you don't remember Mbagathi District Hospital. Kenyatta National Hospital is still crying for funds. Pumwani, mimi nilizaliwa Pumwani, so I have a sentimental value for Pumwani. Pumwani bado haijapata pesa zake, na huyu hapa ni MC, hata wanafaa kuwa napigania Pumwani pate pesa zake.
Fanya Mambo, let me ask
why
the
is it
question. Why have they not
money to Ladnan and not Pumwani?
Why have they not gotten their money? This discussion, when county government first came into being, I had a lot of discussions of a similar nature among people. Oh, this county just keeps getting money, this one doesn't. I spoke to one Dr. Mutua, who was then governor of Machakos, because he had been government spokesman. He and I happened to be parents in the same school. So I asked him. He told me the problem with many of my colleagues, they do not understand the procedures of even filing their returns and ensuring that they actually get the money they need. Before the government gives you more money, there are certain things you must do. And there's an order in which you must do them. Said, if you worked for government, you'll understand. Or if you get someone in government, they'll explain to you so you'll understand. If you look at some of the monies that people don't receive, I'm still talking about county governments. Even this last batch where the controller of budget said certain people are not getting their money because they fell short of the required procedural details that they need to follow. They didn't bring in some things in time. That thing follows government or public hospitals as well. If there is a rule that has been brought in by a new system which tells you that in order for this to be paid, at the time you are treating the person, the documentation must take place right there and then on that very day, and then you send it. If there is an anomaly between the time and the day that thing is handed in and when the patient was treated, it will be flagged. So until it is rectified, that payment will not be made. I'm giving you as an example. That's why I'm asking why. When payments are not made, it can't be that payments are not made and others are being paid. No. Why? Let's start with why were they not made and why were those ones paid? And it can't be that they were paid because they know someone. That may be a reason. But what about the others who were paid? How were they paid?
I have a solution that works, because we sometimes talk about problems all the time and you think Fanya Mambo can't give a solution. I'll give you a solution that works. Very simple solution. We are the ones who pay for the medical bills of our members of parliament. But because SHA is so perfect, they don't belong to SHA. What we are saying is for SHA to work, members of parliament must move from that hospital insurance fund they have, which we pay from our taxes, to SHA. Na iabolishiwe hiyo yao. Ama sisi wote tuwekwe kwa hiyo ama MP. We can't have a situation where us as Kenyans are paying for them to the tune of 10 million for their medical care. They have a system. These members of parliament, tukiwasikia wakipiga kelele huku, wanapiga kelele wakijua they are not members of this SHA. Hata kama wanakatwa, when they go to hospital, the card they swipe is for a very different private medical cover that they have as members of parliament. But it's coming from whose coffers? Our coffers. It is our money. So we are telling them, moving forward.
Do they contribute to this fund?
They contribute, yes, wanakatwa for SHA. But they're not interested in it.
But what about the other one? Do they contribute to that or not?
Yeah, 10 million.
But hata hiyo mshahara inatoka kwetu. That's why we are saying. Because they are
I just want clarity. I'm not disputing what you're saying. It actually even makes sense. Because if the decision makers and the policy makers were all in SHA,
yes,
then the discussion around SHA would be more honest.
Yes.
So
all we are saying is simple.
I agree with Fanya Mambo.
Hatutaki ma MP wakuwe na cover yao.
This is where he needs not to shout, because I'm wholly supportive of him. And this is one argument I've made as a publicly elected person, that if I want to take private insurance, APA, CIC, whatever, let me have that on my own. If you want to give me as an employee benefit, that cover, don't take public money and look for a private provider, especially when you are the county government or you are the national government, and your main business is supposed to offer social protection to your citizens. So I always find it very unfortunate that the police, who are doing very good work of protecting us, are supposed to be getting a very comprehensive insurance cover, but they are limited to some 2-3 health facilities in their location, because somebody directly benefits. The teachers also the same way. Then the county government, you find every county government, Leo, come, I think Nairobi, we are in Madison. You see, then the executive side is in Jubilee. That's the executive side.
So Fanya Mambo has a valid point here.
That's why I say I wholly agree with him. It's very unfortunate. If you have to take my cover, I say this cover, private cover, I will look for it myself.
With your own money?
With my own money.
Separate from
this, because I'm supposed to, how will I go to Mbagathi? How will I go to Mbagathi and ensure that Mbagathi works when you give me a quick access to Gagan? You see?
True.
So I think that is very unfortunate, that even when I was seeing one of the governors even went to and was bragging how he was being treated, and that's when people were asking where he is. He was just defending, I was very happy for you defending me, for when people are asking me where I am. But your work, and this is the one I'm very skeptical of, the loud people being given the managerial roles. Because this was Governor Orengo.
Yeah.
One of the worst managers you can get as a governor. When somebody believes that Sifuna, because he speaks loudly, can be a good governor, this is where Kenyans miss the point. When somebody believes that because Babu Owino can say TB Mantialala, you can make him a good governor, I say Kenyans miss the point. Some of the good governors are not even good speakers. They're not even good speakers. A good legislator does not mean that he's a good governor. These are two different functions. So
who's a good governor?
I think a good governor is somebody who can, you can sit, like now you are managing like Nairobi cosmopolitan community. You are able to think outside the box. You are able to identify what is the strength of the county, because the fact that health system like Kisumu, the governors all there, Nyang Nyongo is being praised for doing nothing. The governor there Kisumu was always clean. Tell me when Nyang Nyongo held any cleaning, massive cleanup.
At least give it up to him. Alitoa nini kwa barabara.
Nini?
He put everything back to the market.
What?
He removed the hawkers from the road.
Chief, no.
You don't know Kisumu.
That one, no. You've got it wrong. The economy of that city is anchored on those small businesses, my friend. All right? You tied it up. In this big city capital, we have businesses on streets.
Yes.
They are regularized. There's a way in which you regularize it, you stop it from being an eyesore.
Yes.
Kisumu doesn't have those big industries that people speak of. Whatever was there died a long time ago. This is how people thrive. Now, when you remove them, and you remove them from the traffic where people actually are, how on earth do you expect these people to make a living? As you're cleaning the city, you actually kill the city instead of making it thrive.
Yeah. So, Nyang Nyongo is believed to be one of the people who is so much against the poor people. The governors. So what I'm trying to say is that sometimes you get a good governor, but trying to get good unique, like Kisumu would be a very good medical tourism area, because we have faced a lot of health challenges. We faced the HIV AIDS crisis, malaria, because of the location of the place, and it's lowlands, a lot of lowlands in that area, the swampy areas, malaria. Then our people adopted Boda Boda very fast, so you have a pneumonia problem because of the riding without cholera. You see, some of these areas, tropical diseases, we find them very prevalent in areas where places like Kisumu, with a kind of weather where the disease thrives easily. So the same thing cannot be said of Murang'a. So Murang'a has to look for a strong point. What is the strong point of Murang'a? it's a good agricultural area. How do you ensure that the kind of produce in Muranga, can be made accessible to the people in Kisumu? If it's too much for the people in Kisumu, how do you take it out of the country? Because you find that, and now we have to also tell people how to live, because I think we have to address some of the basic problems, even how we live. When you fly over with a chopper, in Kisumu, in Nyanza, and in Rift Valley, you see how people are living, and it's the biggest threat to food security in this country. When you cross the border to Tanzania, you see people are living in community areas, and the big chunk of agricultural land are left for agriculture. That's why you now find ngwashe kutoka Tanzania. You find peanuts, you find onions from Tanzania. You have peanuts from Tanzania. Even peanuts, unajua ilikuwa kitu yenye some people don't grow. Now you find it being brought in big trailers from Tanzania and being sold in Kenya. Mpaka unajiuliza kwanza, we were better farmers than Tanzanians. We were even better dairy farmers than Tanzanians. And suddenly Tanzania is doing better.
I can support you on that, because my last 2 years of my law degree were in Tanzania. And the interesting thing is, because we made life very difficult for our own people, most of those vehicles you see at Marikiti with Tanzanian number plates are owned by Kenyans. Because one of the things you do is, like, for example, here you can only import a vehicle that is 7 years old. Tanzania up to 15 years unaleta. So some of those vehicles, they import through the Tanzanian border and they register them in Tanzania, but they are Kenyans. The very many Kenyans I know have leased land in Tanzania, but I like and I must hail them for their land use and land tenure. Because the land law in Tanzania is very different from our land law. In fact, after I did land law in Tanzania, I had to come and read my land law here in Kenya. And the reason is, Tanzania, you don't own land as such. There are areas they've decided you can lease land. Hiyo jinga yetu ya land ownership, kuna mahali ilifika mpaka you divide plots into something that is not sustainable, 40 by 80. I have seen people go to as far, and it's my community, the Kikuyu, Buroti Maguta. They've gone to as far as Malindi. Malindi wananunua eka 50k. Wanakatakata to plot to. What business do you have cutting a plot in a place like Malindi, 40 by 80? Wanauzia watu. What can you do on 40 by 80? You don't plan to live there. Ukipanda mandizi ni mandizi tano, your land imeisha. So unless we change the land policy and the land law in this country, so that we get to a point where we are not subdividing land into units that are not economically sustainable. But secondly, and most importantly, Kenya produces a lot of food that we must appreciate. But there's something that happens. First, during harvest, Kenyans lose a lot of food. Now, storage, Kenyans lose a lot of food. During transportation, we lose a lot of food. And if you want to understand, go to Marikiti, unakuta kimelon. Do you think somebody carried a dirty melon on top of a vehicle? When they were leaving the farm, they chose the best melons. So when you find an ugly melon lying on a street somewhere near Marikiti, just know that that is human food that got wasted. So during transportation, we lose a lot of food. And then also, because of our eating habits, even at the table, we lose a lot of food. So Kenya loses food continuously on a chain, a very long chain, from production. Actually, post-loss, actually, we usually call them post-harvest losses. We lose a lot of food during that time. And now we need to start having conversations around how do we make sure that chakula ilipandwa haitapotea to the greatest possible extent. How do we start reducing on post-harvest losses before we even talk about producing more food? Because it's one thing to produce a lot of food, but then lose a lot of it after you've harvested it.
Have you ever... Sorry, go ahead.
No. I actually have a couple of questions I need to ask them before because of time. Kuna mtu anauliza hapa, hebu uliza Alai, he used to be Ruto's critic. Is it baba effect? Alafu akiweka nitwaje zile vitu brackets, ng'ombe za baba, or what changed? That is the first question.
When we found we didn't hate Ruto. We were competing for leadership. And he got there before us. But we almost lost a nation because of Wamunyoro. And we almost lost a nation. When in a democracy like Kenya, the most powerful institution is the parliament. It's not State House. State House can even be in Sugoi today. Moi was living here in Kibra, and he was not living in State House. So State House can be anywhere. The living place of the president is not the most powerful place. So when that breach happened in Parliament, I believe that Kenyans did realize that we can lose this country so easily, because when you push a president too far and you don't have an immediate solution or an immediate replacement to him, and you say that you want a president out, a good half, this president won the country in a situation where the opposition leader also had half of the country. This opposition leader was not part of the support of the removal of the president. So it means the president can team up with the opposition leader and still stay in power.
Alai, but I don't understand what you're saying. Are you saying that there was a plan to remove the president?
Yes, there was a coup. In fact, it was very well. It started from way before Limuru 3. This. I think
now they have to tribalize this.
It's not.
No, but is there evidence to support what you're saying?
Yeah, but No,
I'm asking because I honestly don't know.
This guy has started reading a manual called Silvanos Osoro and Others and Kaluma and Brothers. A manual called that when things hit the fan, you have to blame Kikuyus for everything. That's why they start sneaking in Limuru. Let me tell you something. That narrative is not going to work, because what they are trying to say
do you want me to explain my point then?
Yes. Okay.
You see, so
lakini hiyo manual ya Silvanos Osoro usisome tena. Kaluma.
I don't know if you're going to be very patient enough to listen to my point, because I think it helps you to also understand Wamunyoro, because Wamunyoro was very crafty and a very good schemer, that when he didn't get things his way, though he plotted a coup, which was going to be people driven, and when you are part of the presidency, there is a kind of behavior which is not expected of you, because the presidency is not about the personality of William Ruto alone. A president is a unifying factor in this country.
It's supposed to be a unifying factor.
It is. The president, there's no day you'll say that you have a president, but he's not your president. Even today, I was very happy to listen to Wamunyoro yesterday on TV, and he said that my president, and his supporters did not see that point, that this guy still insists, despite all his weaknesses. One thing you have to give to Wamunyoro is the fact that he still recognizes that the president is still his president. You see? So when the presidency, when parliament was breached, I believe that the whole regime needed to realize that something was wrong in this country. And when they came to realize that this was something which, because it was not organic, and organic, we have seen organic movements in this country. It is not so well funded. It's not. I was in the streets. When we saw the pikipikis starting to arrive, and with I'm a politician in this city. If today I see a group of young guys riding motorbikes and for political function, it just takes one or two calls to know that, hey, vijana wametoka here. But this one, we could not place them. We say that, where are these ones from? And in 10-20 minutes, you hear parliament was breached. It means there's a kind of energy which was brought into the protest, which was supposed to be organic, which somebody was influencing. And we saw the deputy president now refusing to leave Mombasa. He was actually not trying to calm the nation. This guy was adding fuel to fire. And he was trying to stir a riot. And this guy, who was even leading Nairobi regeneration plan, was now running away from all the processes. This guy who was himself saying
Alai, is there evidence to support what you're saying?
Listen. These things are in the media, all of them.
I know they're in the media, but the media doesn't always state what is necessarily factual.
So when in 2023 we were going to the streets, and also with Fanya Mambo, you see, as part of Azimio, and Rigiji was waking up 3 a.m. every day and saying that nataka kuhakikisha waende nyumbani, and for the first time gari ya baba ilishutiwa 13 times. This guy was now complaining against the same things he was doing. This guy suddenly became so smart that now, after the best Democrats you've had in this country, we are saying that Wamunyoro is the best thing which has ever happened to this. Wamunyoro is a place that sometimes you need to call Rigiji, because it was very unfortunate to watch the whole thing unfold. Then the person who is going to be the replacement to Ruto was going to be Rigiji, and we said no. With the shareholding mentality, no. with a kind of divisive mentality? No. It is very unfortunate that my best friend, I think that this guy we campaigned with, and I see a lot of, I don't always confess a lot of these things to, especially when you say you see a good potential of a man, that now my friend Fanya Mambo is in the camp of Rigiji and is defending him. When they came to launch their office in my own ward, the headquarters is in my ward, by the way, in Kileleshwa. When they came to launch there, they came with guns and pangas. And, people were shooting shotguns in a place where we have never seen even a politician chomoa a bunduki. You see, people were walking during the day. The whole police infrastructure in that area has to be disrupted after that because of what happened during that day, because something was seriously wrong.
Robert, allow me to tell you something, and I have always wanted Kenyans to understand this point very clearly. If there's one person who's been consistent in his narrative, that person is Fanya Mambo Kinuthia. I have always said from the time we were campaigning together in Azimio that William Ruto is not a good president for this republic. And throughout, everybody he worked with during that time, I fought him and everybody he worked with, including Wamunyoro himself. And then along the way, tables turned, and Wamunyoro became a fighter against William Ruto. So I told him, it's not us who've joined you, it's you who's joined us on this side, and we are fighting William Ruto. Unfortunately, sometimes I'm aiming something at William Ruto alafu baba anapita. Unajua inakuwa shida because you have to wait. That's not my target. But ako huko State House anapita hapo. So a jab might hit him that was not meant for him. It's the same case with Robert Alai.
Yeah, this young son of yours.
I have
He's
no
a good
problem.
comedian. He's very far from politics, but he's a good comedian.
I have a lot of respect for Alai here. And sometimes there's something aimed at this terrible administration that he's part of. Na nikirusha inaweza kuta Alai, his head is not small, it won't be missed. Itagongwa tu somehow. And then he will say Fanya Mambo umenigonga unaniuliza. I'll just tell him you are in the room and I'm firing into that.
Tell me something. What is it that you consider to be so absolutely terrible about this government and the president?
First is the hypocrisy. The first thing I have a
Hypocrisy
problem with
in a politician
is the hypocrisy
is an
of
issue.
this administration. Yes.
Hypocrisy
Because
in a
when we make
politician.
you president, when Kenyans make you president,
understand the basic
they want you to start to first stop all that nonsense and to serve them. Let's be clear here. When people are eating money meant for sick people, unajua ni kama kwenyu home kuchangwe pesa ya harambe ya mtu mgonjwa alafu ukule. Something that is intrinsically what we are doing. That kuna WhatsApp group imetengenezwa, somebody yako kwa drip Kenyatta, kumechangwa 2 million na kuna mtu amepotea na hiyo 2 million. That human being should be beaten in public. That is exactly what Kenya Kwanza is doing. Kumechangwa pesa ya watu wagonjwa, wako on drip, wengine wako karibu kukufa na kuna mtu anakula hiyo pesa. So when you become president, you stop first with this nonsense of politics and ask, there are human lives at stake. There's someone whose breadwinner is in a hospital and it is incumbent upon you as president to make sure that that person is well. Na sometimes anakosa kutibiwa, anarudishwa nyumbani, anaenda anakufia nyumbani because mtu alikula pesa imechangwa ya huyu mgonjwa. So that is why for me, I have a problem with William Ruto.
Rigathi Gachagua was the deputy to Ruto.
Yes.
When all these things.
Who and I fought him so hard. Yeah.
Uhuru Kenyatta treated us to a really fair amount of things that are completely questionable. Whether it's Aror Kimwarer Dam, whether it is
And I never supported his nonsense.
whether it is the railway and many other things.
Kwanza nilikuwa naitwa Mkikuyu mbaya anapiga mpaka Uhuru.
Bas. Now you see,
So we are fighting bad.
this is where the hypocrisy now extends to us, the citizenry. Because William Ruto is mentioned every time Uhuru is mentioned.
Yes.
William Ruto is now president.
Yes.
The buck stops with him, full stop.
Yes.
He has a deputy
Yes.
who at the very beginning seemed to also flex and had muscle.
It's giving us beans.
But one doesn't see him mentioned as regularly as William Ruto is mentioned when William Ruto was the deputy. The presidency is still the presidency. The point I'm trying to make here. The burden of what happens in an economy should rightfully land at the feet of the president. Rightfully. But if we ourselves are to have an honest conversation then we must look at all the variables of what was happening at that time and what exists. This government has done some really terrible things. There's no question about it. There are many things they have mismanaged terribly. The problem is, if you're to have just an academic discussion on this, you'd argue that almost every presidency, you can point fingers and say, this is what they did, this is what they did. The question is this. When we think in terms of what next, because that's what we have, and we all seem to understand this is what we have, what next? Do you think we've changed fundamentally to the point where we will be willing to hold the people we elect to account?
Yes. I think first and foremost, I'll tell the people of Kenya, vote me for MP Dagoretic South and then ask me some of these questions. Because I'm willing.
All this time I was giving you an opportunity to promote yourself. Anyway, carry on.
I've gotten to a point where I've realized that I cannot authoritatively speak for Igiji. I cannot speak for Ruto. I cannot speak. You can speak for a politician today. And then tomorrow morning, like now I can come here and say, oh, Sifuna is this, Sifuna is... Then tomorrow morning, labda nimkute amefanywa minister. Because I hear there's a looming cabinet reshuffle. It's in the air. Nisikia amefanywa minister. Then I would look very stupid.
Why?
So I want, because I have gotten to a point where I'm saying, I want Kenyans now to judge Fanya Mambo as Fanya Mambo. Give me a position of responsibility, then ask me questions about what I have done with that responsibility. At least I have proven to Kenyans. Ama mnafikiria sina bei, ama mnafikiria saa hizi jajaribu kununuliwa. I've told Kenyans, at least I am consistent. Let me tell you, without their mandate right now, Fanya Mambo, he knows how many people the Kenya Kwanza administration has been buying, including some funny musicians who end up now not being received back at home. When those people are being called, some of us have received those phone calls. And if I was a goon for hire right now, in fact my price iko juu sana. Wanasema kasauti kangu si kabaya na naweza convince so many people. So if without their mandate I haven't sold them, why would I sell them when I have their mandate? Right now, kabei kako. In fact, I think if today I said, sitaki kusema hiyo jina juu watasema wanaweza kata hapo waseme hivyo. But if today I said those things, then I can tell you I would not be the same person financially. But if without their mandate I'm not selling them. Na sai by the way inaweza sema hata sitaki kura, sitaki chochote, nipate tu pesa ya Kenya Kwanza, nizunguke kwa hizi stations zote nikisema Ruto ni mzuri. I can do that. But if I haven't done it and I don't have their mandate, why would I sell them when I have their mandate? It's about morals.
Gentlemen, we've come to the end of the show. Imagine it's exactly 10 o'clock. Robert Alai, 20 seconds, last words.
No, I think we have to, it's Katiba Day, so we have to celebrate the Constitution. I think that we can, as leaders, just less than 3,000 of us, over 2,000 leaders who are in the public leadership elected. I wish that we could ensure that the Constitution is the cornerstone of everything we are doing. And I wish that some of the things which we are doing, especially on the issue of health, the three things which I believe should never get donor funding, should be funded by the state. Health, security, and education should never ever be funded by the donors. Anybody foreign should never fund those things for us. And I believe that we can do it better by structuring it better, by giving priority to public health, by giving priority to public education and security provided by the public administration, by the state. So when some of the things we are doing in those sectors, ensure that we protect the society.
Okay.
It should be the success of the Constitution and not anything else. Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. This is where we come to a close.